The last book of the Bible remains an enigma for many to this day. Revelation, derived from the Greek word meaning revelation, was written by the Apostle John and describes a series of prophetic visions that narrate future events that will happen on earth. These visions are debated and interpreted to this day. Some people believe that the events narrated refer to past occurrences, but most theories suggest a clear focus, the present, our present. Among the prophecies mentioned, there is a book or scroll sealed with 7 seals, which could only be opened by Jesus Christ. Each seal represents events that precede the definitive return of Jesus to earth, bringing with him the final judgment. The events related to each seal are the subject of much discussion. Some claim that these events are yet to come, while others believe they are unfolding now, indicating that we are getting closer to the end times. Is our time really running out? Are the events of recent decades, including conflicts, diseases, and rising violence, harbingers of the end? Are we witnessing the fulfillment of the prophecy of the 7 seals of Revelation? Is this true? The Bible contains a series of extraordinary secrets scattered throughout its books. Giant monsters, miracles, and immense catastrophes unite in a grand narrative that spans both the distant past of our civilization and its final moments, when God will ultimately transform the earth into a new paradise after the second coming of Jesus Christ. Although some schools of thought suggest that the events described in the Bible refer only to past occurrences, there is a significant consensus within the Catholic Church that some descriptions are related to future events. In this context, the most important book for the days to come is the Book of Revelation by John, which recounts the revelations the apostle had about the end times. Initially, John is instructed to record everything he sees and hears in letters addressed to the 7 congregations of Asia Minor: Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea. John writes, among other things, for them to persevere in the face of the difficulties that are to come. Those who give themselves to sin will suffer the second death, burning in the lake of fire for all eternity. Are we living the last chapters of this great biblical narrative? After sending the letters, John's spirit is taken to heaven, where he finds a throne surrounded by 24 elders. On the throne, there is a figure he describes as resembling jasper and sardonyx stones. In his right hand, there is a book or scroll sealed with 7 seals. And this is where things start to get complicated. Jesus Christ appears at the center of the throne and is the only one capable of opening the seals. However, these seals are linked to events that precede his return to earth, and these events, my friend, are far more frightening than you can imagine. The first seal releases the first of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, who rides a white horse known as Pestilence. He represents the false prophecies that will be preached in the last days. He is the only horseman who does not directly combat humanity. Although he carries a bow, his true weapon is deception. He is often associated with the figure of the Antichrist, as his goal is to lead as many people as possible away from the path of light. For many, this manifests in various ways: the increasing abuse of drugs, the growing immorality in social relations, and the frequent renunciation of faith are just a few examples. Then, when the second seal is opened, the horseman of war takes over the world. Riding a blood-red horse, he wields a sword and incites people to commit atrocities against each other. It is not even necessary to discuss how diplomatic tensions between major powers are dangerously close to devastating conflicts, with nuclear power sufficient to destroy the entire planet. The third seal brings famine, riding a black horse. The horseman holds a scale, symbolizing the balance of the resources the world offers us. Social inequality and insatiable greed have shown how we are quickly heading toward a reality with shortages of water, food, and energy resources. If we continue to manage the planet as we currently are, the damage could be global and irreversible. The fourth seal is the personification of death, riding a pale, ghostly yellow horse. This horseman will be responsible for taking all the souls sacrificed by the other horsemen, leading a quarter of the population to hell. The prophecy mentions 3 more seals. When the 5th is opened, John sees the souls of those who did not submit to the false prophets and were killed for their unwavering faith. They are suffering, crying out for salvation that is yet to come. God acknowledges that these souls were not strong enough in their beliefs, and therefore were not protected. So they died to understand the importance of fully dedicating themselves to faith. The 6th seal describes the final destruction. The world will enter complete chaos. Stars will fall from the sky, lands will be displaced, and cosmic disturbances will destroy our atmosphere. Some believe this could be the result of a 3rd world war, with the indiscriminate use of nuclear weapons and biotechnology, which could quickly cause a cataclysm, preventing the continuation of life on Earth. After these events, 144,000 deserving people will be marked for salvation in the new paradise. In the 7th seal, there is silence. It is when the fury of the heavens descends to restart the world. The seas will be poisoned, abominations will torture sinners, and millions of horsemen will kill a 1/3 of humanity. At the sound of the last of the 7 trumpets, Jesus will return, and the final judgment will be established, paving the way for an eternity humanity without death or suffering. There are beliefs that the fifth seal has already been opened. The martyrs are suffering as the destruction of everything we know becomes increasingly imminent, and no one will be here to save the world from our own Armageddon. All the calamities that have occurred in recent centuries are seen as the result of the opening of these 5 seals and the constant activity of the horsemen of the apocalypse. There is even a site called the Rapture Index, which quantifies in numbers our proximity to the revelation. It uses real events, such as the earthquake in September this year that killed hundreds of people in Mexico and the increasingly frequent UFO sightings, to calculate the likelihood of facing the events of the 6th seal. According to the index, we have been very close to the limit for a few years, varying between 170 and 180 on a scale whose limit is approximately 225. You may not believe in the biblical apocalypse, but it is undeniably a bit frightening. It is clear that many aspects of the world today are undergoing very aggressive transformations. Climate conditions are unstable, interpersonal relationships are increasingly distant and polarized, and the general impression we have is that nothing is in its proper place, as if we are just a few steps away from exploding as a society. It might be a bit hasty to say that everything we are experiencing today was prophesied so many years ago. After all, for a prophecy to be accepted, it needs to get all aspects right with precision. But that doesn't stop us from thinking that one day we might reach the point of total planetary destruction if we continue on the path of greed and devastation that we have been following for so many years. But here's the question: if we somehow reversed the process and learned to live in harmony with our planet, would the prophecy be canceled, or would we just be delaying the inevitable? Now, if the prophecy continues to come true, you can be sure that life on Earth will become even more difficult until the day it gets better, but only for the chosen ones. Subscribe to my channel for more videos like this.